Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Haley and today we're going over the 9th Siddhi of Invincibility within this 9 gene key, the power of the infinitesimal. I took quite a long break from doing these, about 2 weeks or so. I was busy being, which is an awesome reality. I was about to say excuse, but it's not an excuse. It's just the reality of things. I was busy being in love. I was busy experiencing beautiful people and energy, and then I was also extremely jet lagged from all of that traveling. So anyways, we're here now. Time's illusion, so it doesn't really matter. Continuing on to wrap up this 9th gene key, the Siddhi of Invincibility. And the last video we talked about determination, although I will say, since it's been such this long break of 2 weeks, you don't necessarily need to have watched anything within this 9th gene key for this individual video to make sense, because it's just so far removed from everything I was talking about back then, it feels like, because there's been this big gap. And so it'll be interesting to continue to articulate within this 9th gene key and see what overlap surfaces, considering I have no idea and don't remember anything I said within the other videos, as I have not rewatched them before making this one after this 2-week break. So this might be a whole new fresh dive in on the 9th gene key as a whole. And just a reminder here that all Siddhic states cannot be measured in frequency, because frequency implies a gradient. And Siddhic states are omnipresent, omnipotent, everywhere, everything, all at once. I think that's the name of a movie too. But yes, the Siddhic state of invincibility is something that cannot be measured because it is infinite. Omnipresent, that's like one of my favorite words. Present everywhere, all the time. Invincibility. This Siddhic state, this spiritual gift, spiritual superpower, I think is actually what the word Siddhi means, spiritual superpower of invincibility. And upon reading this title, before even getting into the actual chapter, which I graciously marked up with a pink pen this time, I just for some reason got this visual of The Incredibles, which is like a Disney superhero movie that I've only seen maybe a quarter of, but it's this beautiful family that's like super awesome and loving, and then they wear these red suits and have this little eye symbol on their chest that stands for the Incredibles. And so maybe because the word is so closely linked to invincibility, but I just thought of this powerhouse family fighting crime, spreading love, and being silly as I was starting to get into reading this chapter. And I would like to think that the true nature of invincibility also has these same qualities of like lightness and silliness and, ascending, evolving, fighting crime, and spreading love and showcasing that love throughout the family unit. So I think all of those qualities are hallmarks of this Siddhic state of invincibility. But enough about what I think. Let's see what Richard Rudd has to say about this. So he starts off by reminding us about a very key event in human evolution. He says, when humanity managed to tame the power of the atom, the basic magnetic unit of matter, we unlocked its tremendous energy and demonstrated a great universal law. The smaller something becomes, the more enclosed is the universal energy within it. Okay, so another way to say that's a little less flowery and poetic is good things come in small packages. Less is more. What Richard Rudd is implying here is that because God, because love, because invincibility, because all Siddhic states are omnipresent, it means that all of God consciousness, love consciousness, whatever you want to call that thing inside of you and all around you, is everywhere in equal amount all of the time. And so even if you take just this ring has just as much God energy in it and potential for that to be expressed as this body. And so I read that and I thought, that sounds nice. I'd like to believe that everywhere lies equal potential to experience God, to become invincible. Or I should say to embody invincibility. And he actually says that the smaller something becomes, the more condensed is that God power within it. So I think that is interesting. It really gets at this gnosis that everything is equal. And then, obviously we open our eyes, we look around and we say, everything's not equal. That's a tree and I'm a human and she has blonde hair, I have brown hair. And so once again, these Siddhic states, we can dance around and try to dissect for purpose of fun, but to truly actually understand this on a mental level is nearly impossible because it's not meant to be understood, it's meant to be experienced, these states. So if as I'm talking, you're like, You're like, what? That makes no sense. Yeah, it's not supposed to make sense. Specifically, these Siddhic state videos are just for the purpose of enjoyment and fun, to see if we can dance around this broad topic of consciousness and play with it. So yeah, just keep that in mind as you're watching the rest of this video. We're trying to explain something that cannot be explained. And fractally enough, I'm trying to explain something that can't be explained that Richard Rudd has explained. So it's just a fractal of kind of silliness here. The 9th Siddhi is about the power of the infinitesimal. And that word means the infinitely small. But once again, just because it's small doesn't mean it has any less God energy than a bigger unit, a bigger manifestation of matter. The infinitesimal becomes the boundless and the inner space that leads to outer space. I just thought that was beautiful. He says here that levels themselves disappear. So returning back to Gene Key 7, where we discussed the shadow state of division, there's no ability to differentiate between what has more God energy and what has less, because there are no levels when we're operating in this frequency of invincibility. In this Siddhic state of invincibility. The levels themselves disappear because all becomes cast in the light of awareness that everything is equal, despite the illusion of difference or division. And I'll just say that the illusion of difference and division is most definitely there. The illusion is definitely there. Like, we're all perceiving this kind of folly. And I could go down a rabbit hole about the nature of illusions, but we'll save that for another video. The point here being is that he's driving is that there is no differentiation if you're truly embodied within this Siddhic state of invincibility. So let's just say, for instance, I'm in this state. This means that naturally, effortlessly, I'm able to see all people, all places, all things as equal. That means I meet Joe down the street and God, I just experience the divine light coming through him. I keep walking. I see a homeless woman named Amy. Gosh, I just see the divine in her. No more or no less than I saw it in Joe, who's maybe more buttoned up or cleaner, or has actually said a few nice things to me. Gosh, I could even keep walking and meet Tom, the bagel guy, and maybe he's even rude, but gosh, I just still see the divine in Tom. And so this is not easy to accomplish, this Siddhic state of invincibility. You're able, if you're in this state, to see all as completely divine. No one thing, person, or place higher or lesser than another. Try to wrap your head around that. And I think maybe the first contemplation video of this video should be, who do you know in your life that is so kind to literally everyone they meet? Whether it's people in need, people that have rubbed them the wrong way, that maybe they're even justified to be rude to in return. Who do you know that it doesn't matter who you put in front of them, they're going to genuinely be interested in getting to know them, give them their full presence, their full attention, their full energy, and actually in turn entrain that person to their frequency of love. I'm definitely blessed to know a few people where I'm like, yeah, they are like really kind. And they inspire me to be more kind, and they inspire the people around them to be more kind. I think that's a pretty accurate gnosis, that that person is embodied in a Siddhic state or approaching a Siddhic state of invincibility, because they are flexing the capacity to see all and treat all with kindness. He says invincibility, he defines it for us, is defined as merging your individual awareness back into the consciousness of the universe. And then his second definition is, to be invincible is to surrender all possible foes by dissolving your entire reality into them. That means that every single person you see, whether they offend you, annoy you, trigger anger, sadness, fear, anything low vibrational even, you dissolve your entire reality into them. Means you sit with that, you're present with that as it arises, and therefore you merge. Once again, this is like very hard to envision because it's not meant to be envisioned. What he's really trying to say here is that in accepting all people, all places, all things. You go to the restaurant and you order some food and you get some like amazing tacos or the best tacos you ever had. Those are really easy to accept and eat, right? Then maybe, the waiter brings over some guacamole that's like 2 days old, and the person who is embodied in this state is also going to accept that and be able to see the divinity in it. It's this inability to differentiate or to decipher or to divide or to place on a hierarchy. To be accepting of all, in turn, grants you the permission into the kingdom of oneness. To be invincible is also to be invisible. And then here's another definition he throws at us. He says, invincibility means to dissolve into the will of the universe. Dissolve into the will of the universe. I feel that could be something interesting to meditate upon, that sentence. What would it be like to dissolve into the will of the universe, into the guidance of God, into the nature of love, into the power of presence? There's so many different ways to say this, and I think choosing one of those lines I just spit at you, whichever one kind of sticked when I threw the spaghetti on the wall, to choose that and meditate on it would be really interesting, because I feel like dissolving into the will of the universe, I feel like that has a lot of power in its punch and can be revealed maybe when the mind is silenced, rather than me trying to talk my way around this into your brain. And then he gives us an example saying, Archangel Michael is a perfect example of invincibility. He's embodying this archetype of the Siddhic state. And I personally don't know too much about Archangel Michael. I know who he is. I know he's pretty awesome. Other than that, I couldn't really speak much more on that. So it might be worth looking up this archetype of Archangel Michael if you would like more of a metaphorical viewpoint of what this Siddhic state means, of what it means to embody invincibility. Because Richard Rudd is pointing us in that direction, saying that Archangel Michael is a walking proof of this. So I actually probably want to look him up too after this. Oh, okay. This is like my favorite line in the whole chapter. He says, the only force in the universe that is truly invincible is love. Okay, that's like so cheesy, but the cheese is always true. And I know that's true because literally as I read it, as I say it, it makes my heart smile. And when your heart is truly smiling, you should feel a sense of relief, like, well, thank God that's true. The only force in the universe that is truly invincible is love. Truly all-powerful, truly omnipresent is love. Love is everywhere all the time, all at once. It's a nice reminder. And his proof for this, not that love needs a proof, because the truth never needs proof, but he offers it to us anyways. He says, love only knows giving, right? The nature of love is not to take. A loving person is someone who gives attention, gives presence, gives space, gives admiration. And then, I could just go on about what that looks like. But the nature of love is giving. And you who's watching this know what a loving person is, that they're very giving if you've ever had the privilege to be in vicinity of someone who's very loving. You feel that they're giving to you. You just feel like taken care of, and you feel like you're being received also. So love knows only giving, so it creates a vacuum which in turn continually floods with more love. It's impossible to fight against such a force, since it renders all other energies defunct by returning them to their source. Love entrains everything around it. Back to that example of who do you know in your life that's kind? Someone who's really, really kind, really, really loving, embodying this Siddhic state of invincibility, not only brings kindness to others, but actually inspires people that aren't kind to wake up and realize more of the kindness within themselves. So a truly loving person also inspires love in other people and entrains their lower frequencies up to their level, up to this invincible, it's one and only invincible frequency of love in the universe. And that's super beautiful. I like to think of this visual of like someone walking into a room. Like, let's just say someone really, really, really loving walks into the room. And as they enter, all the heads turn, all the hearts open, and you watch, like, if there's colors, you watch all the colors like raise into a higher frequency. That's kind of what I envision when I'm talking about this. I think it's nice to pair a visual with some of these concepts that are so, like, what? Because actually visuals, symbols, these are things of the subconscious mind, which language, ironically enough, I'm trying to explain a vision, right? But it goes beyond talking about it. Talking about it's coming from here. Visions come from here. So maybe even it'd be fun to, once again, meditate on this concept of invincibility, or that line that I gave you earlier. Dissolving your entire reality, dissolve into the will of the universe, meditating on this and seeing what visions come to you. Because visions are more experiential, making you feel more connected and therefore understand more these kinds of states that we can only kind of dance around with the confines of language. He says these people that have embodied this Siddhic state of invincibility become the focal point for an intense frequency of divine light with a very specialized task to fulfill on earth. So these people have an extremely curated niche that they're being called to enlighten, spread their power of invincibility within their loving kindness. I like what he says here. An ordinary person who's not, operating in this Siddhic state may find the aura of a person with this Siddhic state almost unbearable. since it spotlights those aspects of your shadow nature that you most fear. So this person is so bright, so filled with light, so pouring out light, that an individual who's not embodied in this Siddhic state, when coming into vicinity or union with this person, is gonna be like, oh, it's just so bright. It's highlighting all my shadows that I need to work on. It's bringing them all up to the surface. So even just being in close commons with a person in this state is naturally going to shine some light on your own shadows and what you need to work on and evolve, which I think is super interesting. And again, depending on the receptivity level of the individual who needs to work on themselves, that person will either be, wow, like I got a lot of work to do, let's go, and start cleaning up, or it'll be unbearable. I'm not ready to deal with this, and they might actually run away. So that's interesting to think about. How do you react when in the presence of someone who's embodying love or invincibility? Do you shine away? It's just too bright and you're not ready to deal with this stuff that's coming up for you? Or are you inspired into action? That's a pretty big question. I kind of threw it at you like, it's like, oh, just like quickly answer this. No, this is something that you sit with for a while and then return to at different levels of consciousness throughout your own journey. So yeah, it's a nice check-in point. Of course, obviously the higher manifestation answer to that being hoping, right, that we're at the level where we can always be inspired into action when we witness those who truly embody loving kindness and invincibility. Letting that be the fuel we need to motivate us and move us through whatever it is that we are currently trying to transmute from shadow into light. So then he mentions that the 5th, the 9th, the 11th, and the 26th Siddhis are all part of this thing called the Ring of Light. Now the Gene Keys has these certain pockets, or quadruples of keys that go together. So this is one of them. 5, 9, 11, and 26 are all in this thing called the Ring of Light. He says that these 4 form a kind of cross-coding message that's designed to operate an entire gene pool, Well, that's a big difference. So basically he's saying that there's going to come a time where humanity is going to awaken very quickly in reference to what these 4 gene keys hold, this Ring of Light. He says the end of our mental experience of time will therefore be triggered by human auras interacting with each other. The end of our mental experience of time. So that means no more living in the future. Oh, one day when I get married. Oh, tomorrow when I have this meeting at 3 p.m. and then I'm going to go get tacos with Sarah. Oh, yeah, in 5 minutes. No future projection. Also, no past projection. Oh, well, I know I like the color blue because it's been my favorite color since I was 5. Well, actually, I know my dad said that we were going to go to the amusement park, but I don't know anymore. I'll let you know tomorrow. Like, none of this referencing the past or the future. It's going to end our mental experience of time, meaning time is going to become obsolete, not a part of our vocabulary, not relevant to the current experience, because the current experience will always be now. So he's kind of talking about how in the future, when more people awaken into the Siddhic state, they're living in timelessness, therefore they're invincible, operating in loving awareness in the present moment, and this is going to have a high effect on everyone around them, and we'll all eventually raise together. So it's going to be kind of like a little sprinkling. And the more people that awaken into the state, the more people around them that will awaken, simply because of the aura of these people. These people don't even have to open their mouths and talk about anything. They just have to embody the light that they are, and this naturally awakens the people around them. And it's an upward momentum. That's exciting. Ooh, okay, I know I already said that I had a favorite line, but this is competing for first place. This is also a really good line, and I think my key takeaway from this entire chapter. What the ninth Siddhi teaches us, if we're going to wrap it all into one coherent thesis statement, what the ninth Siddhi teaches us today is that every act you make is of vast importance to the whole of evolution. Every single act. And actually, as I say this, I'm being reminded of the past videos within this ninth gene key. I gave the example of even drinking water with diligence and presence and gratitude versus just unconsciously chugging water because you're thirsty and your body's telling you to. You inject more presence into that act, and that translates to the love you can now project into every act. So this entire Siddhi, and actually this entire key, is really emphasizing that every single act you make, no matter how big, right, no matter if it's like a gesture, a grand gesture to someone, you're helping them move, or you're getting on stage and talking to millions of people, or no matter how small, even just, this is ridiculous, but I just thought of this, even the way you plug in your phone to charge it, or even the way you get dressed in the morning and place your jewelry on your finger. All acts make a vast importance to the whole of evolution. The more presence and love you interject into each and every act makes a huge difference, because once again, this power of the infinitesimal is all about how it doesn't matter if it's a big act or a small act. Each act in the eyes of God is seen as equal. And actually, if anything, this should inspire the individual to do those smaller, easier acts with the utmost presence. Because in the eyes of God, you making someone a muffin and giving it to them is just as kind and loving, has the potential to be as kind and loving as you getting on the stage and talking to thousands of people and changing their lives. Like, each act is equal in the eyes of God. And I think that's really beautiful to think about, because I don't know about you, but it inspires me to do the small, easy things with a lot more presence, intention, and love. So that can affect the evolution of the whole and the individual. Every intentional act is a magical act. This makes me think of Ben. If you've watched my videos from the sixth Siddhi, you know about Ben. Intention is everything. Every intentional act is a magical act. Even if I can intentionally flip the page, like that's a magical act. And then to make it very simple, what is intention? I offer you this. Your intention is to be present. Presence is equivalent to love. Love embodies all Siddhic states. Because, we could sit here all day and say, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my intention? And brainstorm 5 million things. I think very simply put, intention is presence. Obviously, you who's watching this decide for yourself, but I think that's a very simple way to remind yourself of the truth. Every present act is a magical act, is what I'll change that sentence to. Every time I infuse anything big or small with presence, I infuse it with a frequency, with a state that can affect the all in a positive light. Okay, and I'll leave us with this last little reminder that I love. He says, whenever you reach a natural beginning, for example, he says a new cycle, a new relationship, new boyfriend, new girlfriend, new house, new car, a new year, a new birthday, new sun lap. He says, you would do well to remember this truth. This truth. This is fundamental to the way the universe operates. Those first few steps are critical to your evolution in the time ahead. So he's basically implying that if the first few steps of any endeavor, whether it's a relationship, living in a new home, creating a new lifestyle, having a new job, whatever, are done with intention, are done with presence, naturally your body will want to follow suit in that exact same frequency, in that exact same light throughout the evolution of that endeavor. So it'll be easier to maintain that frequency if you start off with that frequency. That was awesome. Thank you, Richard Rudd. That wraps up the 9th gene key. Thank you for being patient with me as I took my little 2-week break. And stay tuned for the 10th gene key, being at ease. That's a nice title. I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in with me for this Gene Keys episode. I also just wanted to come on here and start promoting my one-to-one coaching that I offer to women and girls ages 16 to 35. If you've followed me on Instagram for a while, you might be a little bit familiar with my story. I was a model in New York City for 5 years, and in that time frame, I did quite some damage. I developed a really severe eating disorder, body dysmorphia, chronic anxiety. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even go out to dinner without thinking about how much calories, how much I'd have to overwork out in order to compensate for what I was eating. All of those issues led to quite a depression and turned into PCOS, and I also lost my menstrual cycle for over 5 years. All of this amalgamation of issues led me to soon realize that something needed to change. I went through much work. Many people helped me to get to where I am now, and I'm so thrilled to say I'm living such a more abundant life, and I don't feel zapped and drained and fear of judgment anymore like I used to. I would love to offer what I've learned through my own embodied experience, the meditative techniques that have gravitated toward me, and the own verified games that I've made up and curated to help you walk home to more of you and who you really are, so that all of these things can stop draining your energy. You know, all the constant comparison to others and to people on Instagram, all the over-analysis about working out and what you're eating or what you look like. All of these things are not what life's about, as cheesy as it sounds. And I would love to help you come into more unity with you if you struggle with any of these things and you're a woman or girl between the ages of 16 and 35. So feel free to reach out to me if one-on-one coaching sounds resonant. You can feel free to DM me through Instagram or contact me via email, both of which will be left below in the description box. So much love and aloha to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.